You're saying, according to NBC and the Wall Street Journal, President Obama's approval rating has dropped to a personal low of 41%. And more Americans say their vote this November will signal their opposition to the president rather than their support. Just 26% say they are more likely to embrace candidates who back President Obama. 48% say candidates' support of the president will have the opposite effect. But overall, President Obama still has a higher favorability than either party. 45% of voters have an unfavorable view of the GOP, and 38% view Democrats unfavorably. Voters are split on who they want controlling Congress, with Republicans holding a 1-point lead, 44 to 43%. Chuck, stand by. David Axelrod, first of all, I mean, that one specific number in there pertaining to the midterms has to be alarming.
Well, as I said, I think the president's going to have to do targeted campaigning. There are places in which he can help and where he's going to be needed, but there's no doubt that it is a difficult environment for Democrats, and it's structurally difficult in terms of the states that are up in these Senate races, and the atmosphere is difficult for Democrats. So, there's no surprise in this poll. I'd say a couple of things about the poll and the president's approval rating. One thing that I felt when we were in the White House was anytime foreign affairs took hold and was the main story in the news, and that's where the president's attention seemed to be, we took a little bit of a hit, because that's not where the American people want his attention to be. The second thing is, and I think this is a great challenge for him, independent voters in this poll moved away from the president. But the imperative for him this year is to help Democrats get elected to the Senate and reelected to the Senate and the House, particularly the Senate. And so it puts him in a more partisan role, which only alienates independent voters more. So it's a tricky pass for him right now.
It is. And Chuck, I mean, we take a microcosm look at Florida and what just happened.
Right.
And there's a mirror effect here.
And you look at this number, Ray, just 26% say they're more likely to vote for a candidate that supports President Obama's policy. 48% say a candidate's support of the president will have the opposite effect. Chuck, I mean, whether you're looking at 1994, 2006, 2010, these are the type of questions you dig into to see whether there is going to be the possibility of a pretty significant sweep by the party out of power.
Well, look, this is sort of the beginning, and right now the ingredients are all there for Republicans to have the year that they're looking for, which is win enough Senate seats to get control. The question is is the president going to stagnate? Can he recover? I'm focused on four numbers here that, to me, that explain sort of this stagnation, and the question is, how does he pull out of the funk, right? You have 71% in our poll that say government is not working well or stagnant. You have 65% that say the country's heading in the wrong direction, 57% that say the country's still in a recession. By the way, and 49% believe that the health care law is a bad idea, as opposed to about 35% who call it a good idea. So I've been trying to figure out, it's like, what explains the president's 41%? And it's not one thing, it's everything. It's this perception that government's not working, and in many ways he's taking more of the hits for sometimes the Republican obstruction that takes place on Capitol Hill, but the dysfunction hits him more or first before it hits everybody else. Is there anything he can do in the next 6 months that just moves his approval rating to 45%? He moves it to 45%, and I think they save the Senate in our poll, if you look at the way our poll works out. If he can move his numbers up the question is, how does he do that?
Yeah.
And I don't know how it is, because it feels like this, for him, that it's kind of baked in for a while.
Yeah, it's not going on between two ferns. Okay, I want to get one more story in here.
Yeah, Mika, before you do, can I just say one thing about the midterm elections?
Yeah.
A couple of other numbers in that poll interested me. The number one quality people were looking for in a candidate was someone who was willing to compromise to get things done. One of the least popular qualities a candidate could have is an association with the Tea Party, which is identified, I think, in people's minds as a source of obstructionism and unyielding opposition. I think that Democrats have to define the Republican Party in those terms in order to maximize their chances in 2014.